Hello, everyone, and welcome to InfiniteGyan. So, today we'll be starting a new chapter of class ninth, which is number systems. So, let's start that chapter. So, the chapter name is chapter number one, which is number systems. So, I'll be starting that chapter today. So, chapter one we'll be starting, and then chapter is number system, right? Number systems. So that's the chapter. Bear with this handwriting, but just focus on the content we are going to study. सो आज हम जो कंटेंट पढ़ेंगे उसके बारे में सबसे पहले हम नंबर सिस्टम पढ़ रहे हैं, तो उसके लिए हमको नंबर्स के बारे में वी शुड नो, राइट? सो वेन एवर वी कम अक्रॉस नंबर्स, सो इन योर लाइक बचपन में जब भी हम पढ़ते थे कि लाइक नंबर सिस्टम्स के अंदर जब भी बात करें नंबर्स की, तो सबसे पहले जैसे हमने बात किया नेचुरल नंबर्स की, राइट? सो नेचुरल नंबर्स क्या होते हैं? एनीवन? ओके, वेल एंड गुड. Natural numbers. So natural numbers are the numbers which starts from exactly, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and it will keep going on till infinity, right? And what about whole numbers then? Represented by W. Yes, exactly. Those starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, and keep going on till infinity, right? And now you also came across in your previous classes that apart from these numbers, we have numbers like integers, right? And those numbers are integers are represented by z, right? So something it is z only, z you can say. So okay, someone might ask कि आप इसको z से रिप्रेजेंट क्यों करें इंटीजर्स को, i से क्यों नहीं? So, like, we represent integers by z because in German language, Zehlen means integers, right? So that's why we use this number. So instead of these, what you can say, हमारा जो in I वाला sign, so we use, yes, exactly, we use this one, integers, वाला thing, right, for z. So now, how do you represent integers in the form of numbers, right? So you came across, so here we have natural numbers, whole numbers, and then we also have some part of numbers which are negative in form, right? So what are those negative numbers called? Yes, exactly. So those negative numbers are part of the integers part. So we have integers categorized into total three categories. Those categories are integers. So here it is, integers, and these are of three types. One is, okay, let everyone guess. So one is positive integers, positive z we have negative z, that means negative rational number, sorry, integers, and we have zero also. On if we want to represent this on number line, then that's how it will look like. Okay, bear with this thing. Okay, so here we have 0, and to the right hand side of this 0 we have positive z, that is positive integers, and on the left side of this we have negative z, that is negative integers. Tick. All right, now then what is this 0 called? Whether 0 is an negative integer or a positive integer? It is none of the both, right? So it is a independent identity. So basically what we do is we define negative integers and positive integers based on this number, right? 0. 0 को हम एक बेस मान लेते हैं कि इसके जो राइट साइड में है नंबर्स वी विल कॉल देम पॉजिटिव इंटीजर्स, एंड इसके लेफ्ट साइड में जो इनको नेगेटिव इंटीजर्स. सो 0 वोंट बी positive integer or a negative integer, we can say, right? All right, after that, in your previous classes we came across some numbers which were something like something like, can you guess? Yes, rational numbers. In your previous class, we did study about them. So here, आपका नेक्स्ट नंबर है आपका रैशनल नंबर्स. ओके, सो अगर कोई लाइक इनको जानना चाहता है कि हम नेचुरल नंबर्स को हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं, तो उनको हम बोलते हैं प्राकृत संख्याएं. होल नंबर्स को हम बोलते हैं पूर्ण संख्याएं. और जेड इंटीजर्स, इसको हम बोलते हैं पूर्णांक संख्याएं. सो धनात्मक पॉजिटिव हो जाएगा हमारा धनात्मक पूर्णांक, नेगेटिव हो जाएगा ऋणात्मक पूर्णांक, और ज़ीरो तो ज़ीरो ही होता है, वो सबको पता है. सो ये हमारा अभी तक का जो हमने पढ़ा उसको हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं क्या क्या, वो हम मैंने बता दिया आपको. वाई एम टेलिंग दिस बिकॉज सम पीपल माइट बी वॉचिंग जो कि हिंदी मीडियम से पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं या फिर किसी भी मीडियम से पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, इवन इंग्लिश मीडियम से भी आप लोग पढ़ रहे हैं. सो इट इज़ बेसिकली all about like whatever content you are consuming, if you know it in Hindi also, and that's a good thing, because these days minded the people who are studying in English medium schools, they have very poor Hindi. So I would rather just focus on those areas also, so that मैथ्स के थ्रू भी आप थोड़ा सा हिंदी सीख सकें. तो हम पढ़ने वाले हैं, नेक्स्ट हमारा टॉपिक है जो कि है रैशनल नंबर्स, राइट. सो एंड रैशनल नंबर्स क्या होते हैं, कोई बताना चाहेगा? Rational numbers, yes, exactly. So these are the numbers and it is represented by q. And that's your homework. Why do we represent rational numbers by q? I have told you why we represent integers by z, because in German language zehlen means integers, so z letter used. So in rational numbers, what are rational numbers? Yes, exactly. Rational numbers are the numbers which can be represented in the form of p by q, and there is important condition, q should not be equals to 0, right? And p and what are p and q? P and q are the integers over here. So that's how we define rational numbers. So something which can be written in the form of p by q and q should not be 0 will be known as rational numbers, right? And we also have some numbers which cannot be represented in the form of p by q, are called irrational numbers. So irrationals irrational numbers, irrational numbers you can represent by q complement or whatever it is. So you can just write q and complement. So these are irrational numbers. So something which cannot be represented in the form of p by q, right, will known as irrational numbers, right? So example, maybe we can have root 2, root 3, root 5. So okay, whether all the numbers written in the root will be a irrational number? No, right? Because if we have root 16, then that value is 4, but it won't be a irrational number. It will be a rational number because it can be represented in the form of p by q over here, right? So, so every number written in square root will not always be a irrational number. So it if it is a perfect square, then it will be a rational number. If it is not a perfect square, then it will be a irrational number, right? And we also have an interesting thing which is pi. Pi is also an irrational number. Again, why pi is an irrational number? That's again a story behind it, and we'll be covering it in the when we study decimal expansions. I'll be telling what actually pi really means. But for now, you can remember that pi is an irrational number. And there is one more term, exponent, which is represented by e, again an irrational number. So we'll be dealing with this part in the coming lecture. So here we go. Okay, so we have done till now with natural numbers, whole numbers, integers. Then we moved on to rational numbers and irrational numbers. So now, okay. So the combination of both rationals and irrationals known as real numbers. real numbers. So we have, in real numbers we have rational numbers, and another one we have irrational numbers, right? So both of these combinedly will be known as, we have real numbers. Okay, so proceeding further, we have in your books we have like something equivalent fraction. So equivalent fraction, what are equivalent fractions actually? So equivalent fraction, maybe if I take an example, so maybe we can take this example as, so something like 1 by, okay, 1 by 2 is equivalent to 2 by 4. So if this something which can be again be reduced in the form, in the simplest form, and if that turns out to be 1 by 2, then those, so these two are equivalent in nature. So similarly, for all other rational numbers, you can find out equivalent fractions by multiplying it with a common multiple in both. So if you are multiplying like this number 1 by 2 by 3, and you have to divide again in division, also multiply by 3, denominator also you have to multiply by 3, so it becomes something like, you can say equivalent fraction to 3 by 6. So again, this is, these three are equivalent to each other, right? So these are called equivalent fractions. And moving on to next thing, and one more important thing you have to notice over here is, so I told you like rational numbers are the numbers which can be represented in the form of p by q, right? So and these p by q form, and q should not be equals to 0. So something which is the, if this should be in the like in the lowest form, then you can if this needs to be in lowest form, then these will be called as p and q, or you can call them co-primes, like. So if we cannot reduce them further, then P and Q will be co-primes to each other. And what are co-prime numbers? Co-prime numbers are the numbers uh, which have only common factor as only one, right? So it will won't be having other common factor than other than one. So yeah, basically that's about it. And moving on to next. So in your books you have multiple examples. So if I ask you that whether every whole number is a natural number or not, is that a true statement or a false statement? Every whole number is a natural number. So you have to think like what are whole numbers and what are natural numbers. So whole numbers include what? Numbers from 0 to infinity, and natural numbers include all the numbers from 1 to infinity. So whether will this statement be true? No, it won't be, right? So it will be false because 0 is the whole number but not a natural number, right? So 0 cannot be included in the natural numbers. So the statement is false. Second statement can be, if I tell you that every integer is a rational number, can we write integer in the form of p by q? Yes, right. So we can write, if it is written like 2, so we can write 2 by 1. So it can be represented in the form of p by q, right? So obviously we'll be calling them, uh, this statement is true because every integer, we can take any integer a, can be expressed in the form of a by 1, and so it is a rational number. Moving on to next thing, which is every rational number is an integer. Is this statement true? Every rational number is an integer? क्या हम हर रैशनल नंबर को एक इंटीजर बोलेंगे? False, right? Why? Because if we have example of a rational number as something like 2 by 5, right? So is it a integer? No, it isn't, right? Because it is written in the form of p by q, and integers cannot be some are the something which uh, are not in the form of p by q. They are just a whole quantity, you can say, right? So something like -3, -2, 2, 3, 0. So all these are integers, right? So if something is written in the form of p by q, then it will form a decimal form, right? So we won't be calling that an integer, right? All right. So now if अगर हम बात करें नेचुरल नंबर्स की, तो इनको हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं परिमेय संख्याएं, और इरेशनल नंबर्स को अपरिमेय संख्या बोलते हैं, और रियल नंबर्स को हम बोल देते हैं वास्तविक संख्याएं। ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं फिर हमारी क्लास में। चलिए, सो अभी तक हमने कॉन्सेप्ट्स, मोस्ट ऑफ द जो बेसिक बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट्स थे उसके कवर कर लिए कि नंबर सिस्टम्स के अंदर कौन कौन से टाइप्स के नंबर होते हैं एक्चुअली। ओके, सो इफ वी हैव टू फॉर्म अ वेन डायग्राम क्विकली, then can we form a Venn diagram for them, for all these numbers? So yeah, obviously. So first of all, we started with natural numbers. So natural numbers, including all the numbers from 1 to 3 to infinity. Okay, infinity. And then we have whole numbers represented by W. So, and it includes 0, 1, 2. So rest of the numbers are, even if I write 0, then it is okay, but still I have written 0, 1, 2, 3 till infinity. Then we have integers. So integers will be a bigger bracket. So all those natural numbers, whole numbers. So natural numbers are positive integers, then 0, and these whole numbers 0 and positive integers, and we are only left with now z. So it is, yeah, left with negative integers. So we also have negative, see, negative integers, ऋणात्मक पूर्णांक संख्याएं। सो नेचुरल नंबर्स के आगे हम अगर नेगेटिव साइन लगा देंगे तो वो सारे नेगेटिव इंटीजर्स बन जाएंगे, और पॉजिटिव कोई साइन नहीं है तो पॉजिटिव इंटीजर कन्वेंशनली हम बोलते हैं उसको, राइट। एंड देन वी हैव अ मोर bigger circle, or you can say oval, whatever it is. So we call them rational numbers, represented by represented by uh, q. Rational numbers represented by q, and it these are the numbers which can be written in the form of p by q, and here q is not equals to 0. And then we have irrational numbers. So irrational numbers will not belong to this category. They will form a separate family of numbers, irrationals, right? So something like root 2, root 3, pi, e, exponent form, exponential form, something, yeah. So these will be exponential form, not, it is like actually exponent only. So basically these are the irrational numbers. Now if I talk about more other numbers, then okay, so let's draw a bigger circle now, one more bigger circle, and this whole large part will be called real numbers. So very big circle and real numbers, right? All right. Okay. Rather, I shouldn't write like this. Okay, real numbers. So here my handwriting is very bad, but please cooperate with this. But here we have covered almost all the basic things about number systems. So these are natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, negative integers, zero and positive integers, types of integers are, these are the types of integers. Then we move on to rational numbers, then we move on to irrational numbers. The rational numbers are the numbers which can be represented in the form of p by q, and q should not be equal to 0. Irrational numbers, something which cannot be represented in the form of p by q, will be known as irrational numbers. And then we talk about real numbers with both combined, rational numbers and irrational numbers, both when they get combined are called real numbers, right? So tada! So we have done the all the part up till this, the types of numbers, right? In the next class, we'll be dealing with further, we'll be dealing with something like what are the, how many numbers are between two rational numbers, or how can you can find two any five rational numbers or three rational numbers between any two rational numbers, and yeah, things like that. All right, that's it for today. Thank you and have a nice day. एंड इसी आशा और उम्मीद के साथ कि हम लोग आप लोग पढ़ के आएंगे, लिख कर आएंगे, और फिर हम आगे बढ़ पाएंगे। राइट, ऑल राइट, धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत आभार।